If you have been following some of our past videos, it may look as though all you need for efficiency in your system and your organization is to have a KPI. Uh, However, that is not the case, which is why in this video, I want to talk about the role leadership plays in the effectiveness and in the achievement of KPIs in any organization. Because remember that KPIs does not achieve themselves, right? And putting KPIs in place does not mean that everybody are going to follow it. So there is a need for leadership, which means that leadership is at the center of the achievement of KPIs. The administrative procedure for every KPI must be chaired by the spirit of leadership. And this begins with understanding that every employee needs training. It is important to communicate clearly and communicate with that leadership enthusiasm. What this means is that this communication is not just a communication that is getting people to do what they are paid to do. No, it is a communication that tells people that what we are trying to achieve meets the collective objectives of everybody, and that by achieving what we are set out to achieve, that everybody stands to benefit, which is what leadership brings into the system. That through leadership skills and through the spirit of leadership, organizations must bring employees into a system where they feel belong, where they feel among, where they feel communicated, where they feel involved. So training is very, very important. Even if it is not a well-structured training program, but you must have a system where you bring all your team together. Instead of just having meetings where you criticize what they do and what they don't do, what about having a meeting where you sit down and explain to them clearly what to achieve, how to achieve it, how they will be measured, and why it is important that they are measured, and why it is important that they achieve the expected result. Second to training is the provision of resources. In order to achieve the goals for every employee, they need access to resources. For example, they need access to certain softwares, equipment, budgets, and information. The role of information on all of this have been over-explained in many of our videos. If there are tools that they need, you need to be able to, the organization or the management should be able to provide it to them. If there are equipment that are required, the organization must also provide it. And then if there are a financial involvement that are needed to also drive the process, it needs to be provided. You cannot be expecting result when you do not provide the resources that is required to achieve those results. If you have provided training and you have provided resources, the next thing you need to provide is feedback. Regularly, you need to let them know how. You don't have to wait until the end of the month to provide that feedback. As they carry out their daily activities and their daily tasks, you are not just going to sit down and say, oh, let him make all the mistakes. You need to be constructive in your criticism, and you need to provide effective feedback that does not further throw the employers or your workers into confusion, but provide them clarity so they don't keep making the same mistakes for too long. Providing feedback also requires you to be watchful, to be observative, and to be appreciative of what they do. Feedback is not just always about criticism, but also about letting people know that they are on the right track or that they are not on the right track. So you don't have to also just wait until people make mistakes before you criticize them. If they have done well, you also need to be able to provide that feedback, letting them know that yes, they're on the right track and they are doing a great job. The next to providing feedback is recognition. If people have made commendable efforts, have achieved results, they need to be in need for recognition and commendation. They need to be commended. They need to be appreciated. That is why we create different forms of incentives and different forms of award and recognition in the workplace, like your employee of the month, and so many others. So it is important that you also provide recognition, so people know that once they achieve what they are supposed to achieve, that apart from their regular pay, apart from the normal pay, they also get certain incentives and certain recognition for what they have done. For employees who are concerned about building their career, also loves recognition because it is a positive add-on to their career prospects. Then lastly, you must find a way to provide inspiration. Uh, Providing inspiration is very, very key to driving your employees to achieve your key performance indicators. And this is very, very important because without inspiration, success becomes a burden. Activities becomes a burden. So you need to be able to provide inspirations for your staff, provide inspirations for the management. And these inspirations comes in very, very simple things that can help the employees understand that they are being seen, they are being recognized, they are being appreciated. So every organization should be able to provide inspiration. Provide for your employees a source of inspiration that can keep them inspired and keep them motivated. Thank you very much for watching this video. Drop your thoughts in the comment section and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.